What's up, trading community? Prodigy here from Learn Option Trades, here to bring you guys a quick video on how to understand volume. And this goes for any type of stock you're looking at, any time frame you're looking at. Guys, we're about to make you understand everything about volume. It's probably the most essential thing you can do. I see a lot of traders doing themselves a disservice by not adding volume to their trading technique. They literally sometimes even delete it off their chart. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's literally so essential. When you pop up your chart, defaulted, literally the first things that pop up on your chart is volume and the candlesticks. And the most times people don't even know how to use that to their advantage. People don't even understand candlesticks, and it's literally defaulted. The first thing that pops up on our chart is candlesticks and volume. So if you don't understand the basics, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to understand trading at all in general, because you don't even know candlesticks or volume. So guys, let's get right into it. Let's break it down and make it real simple for you guys. I actually have a pretty much a cheat sheet for me, because look at my volume bars. It breaks down the difference between buyers and sellers. So I actually kind of have a little bit of a better advantage than most, which I'll drop that link for anybody. It's free. It's literally a free TOS script if you're running Thinkorswim. And it's also free on TradingView, which is called Buying versus Selling by Cohen. But anyways, let's get right into it, guys. So when you first pop up any type of chart, like I said, it does not matter what it is. SPY, Microsoft, Google, Tesla, Meta, it does not matter. Pull it up. I promise you, it has a volume bar. So volume bars are located below your candlesticks. Now, put them back on if you deleted them for whatever reason, because it's the most important thing you can literally do, because it's showing you how many buyers and sellers are here today, or if there was more buyers or sellers than before, or if it's a fake out or breakout, depending on how many shares are being bought or sold. So it's really important to pay attention to volume, because it can help you and give you a big advantage to understanding if the breakout is actually about to be a significant breakout or if it's just going to be a weak one. I mean, you can already kind of see right here alone off of this 50, or this is not the 5 minute. I don't know why I put 5 minute. I think it's like that. I think it's like hourly. But you can see the first hour of market open on this specific volume bar, it's way greater than over here. There was no buyers here, and look at all day we just ran up. I mean, even the volume bars in general are way bigger than all of these volume bars in general. So overall, it's just greater volume. And look at how many. Look at what happens with the greater volume. Instant rocket. Same thing on the next day. Way more buyers than this day. Instant rocket. I mean, I'm just showing you guys. So we're gonna get more over into better examples. I'm gonna show you guys first a few examples of volume, and then we're gonna break it down. So let's get into a few examples of it, and then I'm going to also give you guys a definition right here of volume. So the volume definition, it just means the number of shares traded between a given time frame. So let me run that back one more time. The number, there's only one definition. It's the number of shares traded between a given time frame. Or in other words, it's the number of buyers and sellers between a given time frame. It literally splits up how many buyers and sellers are within that time frame. How many shares have been sold and how many shares have been bought within a single time frame. So in this time frame, I know it says 5 minutes, but really it's hourly. So the first hour, there was a significant amount of volume. It was a little over 11 million shares bought within the first hour of market open. So, and then when you go to this side, there was a little over 11 million sellers. So it's just comparing. It's just comparing and adding your other tools with the mix to really take certain trades. So finding the best trade in your favor. But anyways, now that we understand the number of shares traded between a given time frame equals volume, now we can look at any time frame and we can understand that to the right of our volume bar, that's where we see the number of shares bought and sold. So if you look to the right, it says it's in the millions. Let me break that down real quick. So if you were to look at Starbucks, Google, Meta, Tesla, it's going to be measured differently, whether it's in the millions or in the thousands. Some shares, some bigger companies are traded, more. So like the S&P 500, it's a big ETF. There's millions of people here buying and selling the share all day, every day, simultaneously, back and forth, every day, all day. So that's just what's going on. So there's millions of people here. So these numbers are in the millions. I know it says 2, 4, 6, 8, but think about it: 2 million, 4 million, 6 million, 8 million. So the first 15 minutes of market open, there was almost about 4 million buyers right at market open. 4 million shares bought. Now I don't have my cheat sheet, my cheat code, the half where it splits it. So we're just gonna go over only the candle bars to make it easier for everybody, because everybody has it defaulted like this. So with the definition being the number of shares traded between a given time frame, you can understand that whatever time frame I look at, whether it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, the volume just measures how much buyers and sellers were in that time frame. So the first 15 minutes is going to have 15 minutes of buyers and sellers in volume. The next 15 minutes is going to have the same thing, sellers and buyers, how many sellers and buyers were here within that time frame. So it doesn't matter what time frame you look at, it's going to have a singular volume bar matching with the candlestick representing how much buyers and sellers were there in that specific time. So you're going to see a lot of times I'm going to be looking at SPY, but the time frame is practically what's kind of important. So the time frame I'm looking at is 15 minutes here. So let's get right into it, guys. Let's teach you guys how you guys can take advantage of volume. So there's many different ways to approach volume, or even just look at volume in general. There's many different ways. So first we're going to go over the way that I call it is like the increasing, decreasing buyers of sellers, whatever. I kind of like to spot this out when I'm seeing there's a decrease or the momentum is slowing down pretty much. So you can see that the first 15 minutes of open, yeah, there were some buyers, decent amount of buyer volume. It's kind of significant all the time. The first 15 minutes of open it's always usually a lot of volume. Well, first 15 minutes of open, a lot of volume. Then we kind of start slanting down. I mean, over time, if you were just to wait all the way for a whole hour, from 2 hours, from 6:30 to 8:30, you can see that we just been downtrending, kind of just going down. The price action, the S&P 500 has just been continuing down. Look at the volume. The volume is also decreasing. We started from a really high buyers, almost 4 million shares bought that time, to we kind of just started decreasing, going down to the 2 millions, almost down to the 1.5s, to getting really low. But then something happens around 9 a.m. 9 a.m., we kind of start to pick up just a tad bit, and the volume starts increasing and going back up just a tad bit. Look at the price action. Just a tad bit, the price action increases, just a tad bit. Look at the volume, though, too. It's really not that significant. If it was a big amount, then I understand us to have a big jump. But look at this. It's really small, nothing too crazy. The price action hasn't really went that high. Now, if you watch my candlestick video, you can also read these candlesticks and help you understand how weak or strong these candles are. Now, if you compare the candlestick knowledge to the volume knowledge, which is what you're about to learn, you're gonna be super powerful. I promise you. So you can see that at the beginning, the volume was decreasing, price action was going down, volume was kind of really going nowhere. Then we kind of start ramping it up just a tad bit. But then look pay attention here. So after we increased it just a tad bit, really volume really didn't ramp us up that much. You know, if somebody did get into calls here thinking that we're about to pump up for the rest of the day, you know, maybe they got clapped. But look at this specific area right here. Look at the volume for the sellers increase like crazy. So if you were to compare any of these volume, if you were to compare this specific volume seller, if you were to compare this specific seller one right here, let me actually pull out a pen. So if you were to just compare the first selling red candle, you know, it really isn't that much crazy. It's a doji candle. It's really small sellers, no buyers. It really hasn't really went anywhere. It's not even that crazy compared to this one. So if you were in calls, you're probably thinking, or bets to the upside, you're probably thinking, oh, we're going to continue on up. But then look at this. Look at how many, let me erase this. How can I erase this? Dang it. Okay. So, hold on, actually. Okay, I found an eraser. Let me erase this, and let me go back to my pen real quick. Sorry, bear with me. But look at this second volume bar. Or look at this volume bar just in general, I mean. So after we get that little increase in buyers, yada yada, not so crazy buyers, then we start to get sellers, and even this seller volume bar is super significant, and it's way more. Let me delete it one more time. Sorry, I'll be a little faster with this one next time. But you can see that this volume is at 2 million shares sold. We haven't hit 2 million shares sold since 7:30 a.m. So we finally hit 2 million shares sold, a big amount. And I mean, this is a significant amount of seller volume. We haven't seen this big of a bar. If you compare this specific bar, guys, if you literally pay attention to this, If you compare this specific bar to all the recent bars, at 7:30 is the last bar or last amount of shares sold around this time or bought around this time. So you can see that there is a major amount of volume. There's a lot of sellers here, a lot of action going on, whether it's buyers or sellers. You kind of don't really know unless you have the cheat sheet like me. But there's a lot of price action going on. There's just a lot of action going on in this specific area. So if you were to dibble dabble along, whatever, and then let's say you didn't hop into anything, or you were just watching it, just in general, you were just watching the volume. You just want to understand how to understand price action. You can see that even the next volume bar, the sellers are super increasing. Guys, sellers are for sure here. Sellers have just increased rapidly. I mean, this volume bar is showing that sellers are really, really here. They're really here. Now, if you watch my candlestick video, you'll understand too that this specific candle right here is a big, strong bearish candle representing that, like, guys, there was no buyers, straight sellers. Major sellers right there. And then you can see the next candle. Yeah, we try to get a little bit of buyers, decent amount of buyers. If you were to compare this buyer all the way to the last time we had gotten bought like this, it's really not that. We really haven't seen this many buyers since the first minute or the first 15 minutes of open. But look at this candlestick. If you were to read candlesticks, or if you understand candlesticks, you would know that it's not the strongest candle. There is a potential reversal here for us to go back up. But overall, buyers really didn't take it too crazy. Buyers really did not take it far up. It's not that big of a body. It's kind of a small wick, indecisive candle. This is considered neutral when you look it up on Google. What is a doji, or what type of doji this candle this is? It's pretty much a neutral candle, a non-buyer, non-seller. It's in the middle. But then look at the buyer volume. Look at the buyer volume. I'm over here. I guess I did actually have it compared. So if you were to compare the candlestick chart strength, you can see that it's kind of at the zero. This one right here is kind of in the zero. Or if you want to be nice, you can give it a +2 if you want. Maybe even a +4. But really, it really wasn't that strong in my opinion. It was pretty much a neutral zero. And it kind of looks like that. This one right here, they tried their best. Maybe this one, to be honest, looks like a 2. You know, if anything, this one looked like a 2. It tried, it has a decent middle body. It tried its best, but it didn't really take us far. So you can see that if you were to compare all of these candles, you can see that really sellers are practically here more often than buyers. So guys, I'm trying to give you guys the best tips to understand volume, but I'm also adding candlesticks to help, because it does help, guys. If you understand both, you'll be super powerful. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not even lying. I swear to God, I use just support, resistance, a couple other things like trends. But the moment I see buyers getting in on the support, I mean, I'm hopping in. Trust. And I'll show you guys what I mean by that. I'll show you guys a good setup and even a trade that I've taken just based off volume and a nice bounce off support and type stuff. So anyways, you can see that buyers did try to bring us up. Volume isn't really that there though. Compared to this time or the first 15 minutes, it's really weak. It's really not. It's not even close to 4 million shares. It's like more like 3 million shares, if that. So the buyers are really not there. I'm not too confident they're going to take it up on this candle. And then you can just see that the sellers go back to increasing it one more time. Look at the increase in the seller. It's sloping up. And just because we're sloping up right here doesn't mean I'm going to be sloping up right here. Since it's sellers, sellers are increasing, so we're going down. Because sellers are increasing, so we're going down. The sellers are increasing, so we're going down. So you can see that. You can see how much it actually represents on the chart, guys. And that's why I want you guys to pay attention. Because look at this. Sellers are increasing. Major seller volume. And look at the price action from here. Major seller volume. Look at this. We tried one time to get a nice buyer volume. A nice bullish engulfing. We tried. But look at the volume again, guys. It's even less than the last time we tried. It does have a little bit of a stronger bullish engulfing candle representing that like it's a major potential that it's going to reverse. But look at the volume. This is what I keep trying to tell people, and why I tell people they're doing themselves a disservice without understanding volume. Because look at the volume bar. When you compare this to that one, to even that one, it's actually weaker. Less shares bought. Not that many. So that's something that's really important to pay attention to. And then ultimately, we continue on back down until you get this major buyer volume out of nowhere, which kind of actually the next day we did end up bouncing up. So it's really interesting when you pay attention to volume and also add candlesticks to the mix, just how powerful you can be. So guys, that was just one example out of many. Let's get right into another one, a quick one. So 5 minute time frame, 5 minutes to open. This one I'm gonna add my cheat sheet just to show you guys, maybe make it a little bit easier for you guys. I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna hop on from the cheat sheet to the not cheat sheet to show you guys how you can do, how you can really take advantage of it, and also to show you guys the cheat sheet just to show you guys what it looks like when it's compared to buyers and sellers. So first minute of open, yeah, buyers are here. This kind of starts slowing down. You can see if you compare, it's kind of just here. Actually, let me erase this and so you can see that buyers start right here, comes down right here, and they kind of do, they try to take us up. Buyers try to take us up in the first minute open. First 5 minutes of open. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes to open. First 20 minutes, they tried. Not that many sellers you can see on the volume. Not too many, not too crazy. But then out of nowhere, if you were to watch this, you can see the buyer volume really is not there around these candles. Buyer volume is super low. None. No buyers. And then look what ultimately happens. Straight downtrend, and look at the sellers too. Major sellers right here on this specific candle. Hella volume. If you were to compare the volume to the volume over here, it's major, guys. That's major. It's something to pay attention to. So you're seeing that, okay, sellers are super here, and this candle was this candle right. This candle was this candle right here. That's a big candle, indicating that sellers are super here. So if you were to hop in on some puts on that specific candle, oh, you got paid, best believe. Let's say you were waiting all the way to this candle, and look at how many buyers are here, actually. There's a decent amount of buyers. You could look at the wick. You can see it's a potential reversal, but ultimately, we didn't get that. Then again, look at the next candle. There is just so much sellers indicating that sellers are really here to take it. But then, guys, something that I pointed out to that's super important is look at this specific candle. Look at the volume. I almost don't even have to point this out. You guys can practically see it for yourselves. And hopefully you guys do not click away from this video after just the first 17 minutes of this, because it gets deeper, it gets more important, it gets more advanced. And there's other ways you can understand volume other than just seeing the increase and decrease in a fat volume bar. So there's more important things to pay attention to other than just this. So don't click off just because you think you know it all after seeing these first few examples. There's more complexity that it gets to, and it's more difficult than just this. But overall, this is how simple it could be. So look at this. So you get a nice bullish engulfing, fat amount of buyers, no sellers whatsoever. If you compare this specific volume bar to all the last previous volume bars, we have not had this much volume since this candle, or even since the other previous candles over here, which overall there's no sellers whatsoever in this candle. It's showing a lot of strength. So what happens? We end up taking it up, bullish engulfing. Boom, fat, all the way back up to the upside. And then overall, we kind of just create this weird bearish wedge, which we're going to get more into this too. I know I added a pattern here. If you haven't watched patterns or even watched my pattern video, you're probably like, what the heck is this? So you can see that we actually created a bearish wedge right here. A bearish wedge. So a bearish wedge indicating that it's a potential reversal back to the downside, even though we did get a nice buyer bullish engulfing, nice buyer volume took us up for the rest of the day. Barely buyers around here. You can see that the sellers sold us off a little bit, and you can see the buyers start ramping up again. So guys, if you just pay attention to the volume, you can really pay attention to the price action and see where we're heading next. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. My girlfriend actually just came in. But so you can see right here on this bearish wedge, you can see this indication potential to the downside. It doesn't always happen. I'm not going to say if you see a bearish wedge, it's always going to go down to the downside. Many times it breaks to the upside. But with understanding volume, you can see if it's going to be a fake out or not. And you can actually understand where it's going, guys. This is what I want people to pay attention to. Because when you understand volume, you can actually see where the price is going to next. So look at this. Bearish wedge incoming. It's formed. You set out your pattern. You create it, you connect the wicks, you set it up, boom. So you already set up, you get your pattern, you go Google which pattern this is, you find out that it's a potential to the downside. So, okay, you wait for, I mean, at a certain moment in life and trading, you're going to know all this off the top of your head, and it's going to come into you within a split second. So, like, if I'm trading with my type of experience that I have, I see this wedge informing, I might not even have to actually draw it out because I already see it in my head and it's just there, and I'm waiting for an indication of sellers or buyers or whatever the case is for me to hop into a potential reversal. So anyways, look at this volume. Look at this candle right here. Pay attention to that specific candle. That candle represents something, but guys, it's so obvious. Look at the volume. Oh my Lord, guys. I don't even have to point this out. I know you guys are seeing it already for yourselves, and that's why I say don't skip ahead. There's many other things I really want to point out that's really important. So, not only is this candle a shooting star candle, when you look it up on Google, what candle this is, it's an indication to the downside. So not only do we have a candlestick that's representing an indication to the downside, but we have a bearish wedge form. Sorry, I tried to draw an arrow. But we have a bearish wedge form, a shooting star candle forming, showing that it's indication to the downside, bearish wedge showing that's indicating to the downside, and then we get a fat seller volume indicating that sellers are super here and buyers are not here whatsoever, that there's no buyers trying to take us up. Look at the wick. Or look at the wick. If you watch my candlestick video, you understand what I'm talking about. We tried to actually break out just a tad bit. Maybe somebody got calls thinking that we're breaking up, but sellers said, "Oop," sold us off crazy. And you can see that right after that, I mean, sellers just really sold us off. Sellers they ramped it up like crazy. They really sold us off like crazy. So that's how you can also use volume to understand and take it to your advantage and do yourself an actual service, not a disservice, by not using volume. So let's get into another example. This is the one that we saw early at the beginning. You can see that we created a zone, or in this case, a resistance level, or in this case, you can just call it the high of yesterday, or you can even call it the pre-market high. What do I mean by that? So this is pre-market. The black squares that you see are the actual days that you can trade. So for an example, let's just say this is Monday, this is Tuesday, this is Wednesday. I don't know what days these specifically were. Oh, it says Thursday right there. So this is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So on Wednesday, you can see that we hit like practically what they call a double top. We hit a double top, and then look at pre-market high. The most highest pre-market had hit was kind of just around the same areas. So that's how I got my resistance level. That's how I got this specific zone, this white level that you see on my chart. That's how I got it. So I'm just letting you guys know that's how I got it. So if you guys are curious why I drew this zone, that's how I got it. I'm showing that it's a resistance level. We haven't broken past that yet. But look at this. So on Wednesday, which is this day right here, there's really not that much buyers. Look at the most buyers we had was this at this time, and it really was not that much buyers. It was really low. There's mostly sellers all day here. You can see that the seller volume is practically more in favor to the sellers. There's really more sellers than buyers, especially at the beginning of open. Hella sellers. Buyers tried. Yeah. Buyers tried again. Yeah. A little bit more buyers in this one. And then ultimately kind of a lot of volume, seller volume. So you can see that the volume goes crazy. Come the next morning, look how many buyers were right here. Oh my Lord, so much, more than 10 million shares bought right at open. Unlike 10 million shares sold right at open, 10 million shares bought right at open. So let's say you didn't even hop in on this candle. Let's say you saw this and you hopped and you saw this candle close and you're like, are we gonna break? Let me wait for the next candle. Look at the next candle, guys. So much buyer volume is here, indicating that we took it up one more time. Almost equivalent to the same amount of buyers. Barely any sellers. You can see a small nick of red. Guys, again, if you didn't hop in on this time, or you didn't even think you weren't too confident, if you were to hop in one more time, or even just wait for this one, guys, again, a decent amount of buyers, more than over here, way more than over here. A small nick of sellers, more than the previous one, so you got to be a little careful. But again, look at the next candle and look at the next volume bar. There's literally no sellers. It was literally crazy until the last hour which happened to have a little bit of sellers. But buyers again brought it up, and look at this. So look at the volume, guys. Look, before I even get on to the next day, look at this volume on that last hour candle. So not only is this a hammer candle indicating a reversal back to the downside, but look how many buyers stepped in right there. Sellers sold us off all the way down here to $42, but then buyers said, hell nah, bringing it back up. And not only are we bringing it back up, but we're going to bring in more buyers than there was even at open. More. Which indicates a potential push for the next morning, which actually did happen. Look how many buyers are here. Oh my Lord. There's probably like 15 million shares bought. More than the last hour of that close. So it's just crazy what happens when you compare the volume to the previous volume. And so I actually went a little bit ahead of my own charts that I created. But you can see right here, right at open, make it real simple and easy for you guys, bullish engulfing. If you compare it to the day before, you can see that the body volume is increased. It is way more increased than the day before. And that's if you compare it. So you do have to actually compare and look for these things, guys. It's not as easy as most people will just be like, I'm going to take calls right on the break of this. No. You're taking calls on the break of this because it's more in favor for you because there's a lot of sellers. Now, if this was a big bar, but the red was like, let's say there was like a lot of red. Let's say there was like half of it was red. Most of the time, that's indicating that buyers are actually not as strong as you think. And most of the time, it's just going to reject. But in this case, we ended up, going to the upside. And it's really easy to spot that. And it's because of the volume, guys. The shares, the buying volume is what gives it away for you. So on the next day, which was Friday, you can see that, yeah, same thing. If you compare the buyer volume is way more increased than the day before. So that's what has put us on this nice uptrend for 2 days. You can almost call it 3 days because this is actually a higher low. But we're not going to get into that. If you watch my trend video, you'll understand that. And guys, if you're not using any of these things or even watching every specific video on each specific tool of everything, you're doing yourself a disservice. You got to master practically every specific thing to the nick. And I'm talking about volume. You got to understand volume to the T, candlesticks to the T, trend lines to the T, all your indicators that you preferably like to use to the T. You gotta master everything. And you can't just act like you know it once and think that you're going to know it forever. I mean, you actually have to go experience this stuff and compare it yourself. So this is a lot of experience that I've done for myself and the mentors that I've learned from. This is the greatest knowledge that I've gotten, and it's the best thing I can do for myself because I'm collecting percentage. I'm collecting over 18-20% every time I hop into some trades. It's really nice. It's really fun, and it's all because I can catch it by understanding volume. It just helps. I use many other tools other than just volume, but volume is probably one of the most important things to use. So I just added this to show you guys who's in control. You can add your candlesticks. You can if you understand candlesticks, you can read each candle and understand where the price is going. Every time, guys. It does not fail. It really does not. So you can almost even compare this candle bar with. You can almost call them these two candle bars. It is a really fat body. It is a long wick to the downside, showing that sellers showed their strength, but buyers ultimately overperformed, because if you understand candlesticks, it's telling you that this got flipped to the buyers. Sellers tried, but buyers were here. But anyways, let's not get too hard at ourselves. Watch the candlestick video. Watch my other videos. They're going to be just as informative as this one, guys. I'm trying to really break down and put through your head the understanding and the use of volume. It's super important, guys. So we're almost done. Probably not. I really don't know. I forget how long these are. But anyways, let's get over this example right here. SPY. 5 minutes on a SPY. First 5 minutes to open. What did I try to? Oh, okay. So the first 5 minutes to open, you can see that we get a fat amount of buyers. You can see on this volume bar. Yeah, barely any sellers. Cool. But then what happens on the next volume? On the next couple bars, you can see that, yeah, sellers are here. Buyers did step back in again right here on the second candle bar. Look at these candles, guys. These candles there's a lot of action going on, which is why you got to pull up and understand candlesticks. So not only are sellers decreasing, but buyers are increasing here. And why am I making that statement? Why am I saying that? Well, I have a cheat sheet on, so it makes it more easier for me to make that statement. But a lot of buyers here, small amount of buyers. So I said sellers are decreasing because small amount of buyers on this second on the next 10 minutes, but look at this. Sellers are small. There's not that many sellers. They're decreasing. It's getting smaller. Well, the buyers are actually increasing. Look at the buyer volume. Yes, the first 5 minutes we had a fat amount. Second one, not that crazy. But then look at the buyers are decreasing. You can see that there's really not that many sellers incoming. It's mostly buyers who are actually stepping in. And if you were to actually understand candlesticks again, guys, you would see that these lower wicks are indicating buyers keep pushing us up. That's all it means. So buyers are increasing. You can see the volume did increase. You can see that we ultimately broke this trend with a nice, with a decent candle, decent volume. Not too crazy, but it's showing that buyers are trying to take it in control. And you can understand who's in control by reading these volume bars. And yeah, you can see that buyers did increase and took us up ultimately above this ugly, I don't know what you want to call it, pattern, consolidation, whatever you want to call it. These candles were showing that there's something that's about to happen. And the volume is what can help you determine which direction it's going to take us in. So let's look at another example, guys. This is 2 days of volume. And what I mean by that is this is Monday. You can see the volume. This is Tuesday. You can see the volume. And guys, I actually took off my cheat sheet to make it a little bit more easier for you guys, or to at least help you guys. So let's give a quick overview of what we're looking at. We got a support level around 255, and we got Monday and we got Tuesday. So on Monday, a lot of sellers. First 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of open. A lot of sellers. A little bit of decreasing just a tad bit. Then you get a nice doji candle. Remember, guys, doji candles means a potential reversal. Decent amount of volume. I wouldn't hop in. I would not take calls. But let's say you missed that. Let's say you didn't get in on this. Let's say you just saw it. It's just something you're paying attention to. It's just something that you're observing, which is what we do. You're waiting for the best setup to take so that you can profit off that best setup. So boom, you missed this setup. Buyers, you notice. So you missed this doji candle call potential. You're like, whatever. Buyers are decreasing anyways, which even though they're decreasing, you can see the price action going up. But buyers are decreasing ultimately. So eventually they are going to decrease, and they did. They actually ended up creating a pattern or a pennant flag, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Many people have different names, but I just call, as long as you know what they represent and which direction they're potentially going to go in. So you can see that we have this pennant formed. Buyers are decreasing, so I'm like, they're decreasing. Not really sellers are doing much. Buyers aren't really doing much. You get a fat red candle right here. Then you get a big green bar again. Then you get a decent red. Then you get a small green. But then, guys, look at the breakout candle. The breakout candle is what indicates the move. It's what indicates their direction. But let's say you just forgot to get in. Let's say you're scared. You're not the type to take risk, even if the volume ended up being great. Let's say before the 5 minutes even closed, the volume had to at least even be greater than all of these, and it had to show. So I'm always watching the volume increase, and it got to this big pump. So if you didn't get in because you're scared, whatever, you just have too much FOMO. You're just too scared. If you had FOMO, you would have been in. But you're just too scared. So if you didn't get in, you can see again, buyers, after that pump, they're decreasing again. Again, they're decreasing. And why am I saying that? I'm saying that because the volume is not really keeping up. If the volume was keeping up with this big buyer volume, I would think that we're going to continue on up for a long, long time. But you can see that we're decreasing. Even though we're going up, we're decreasing. And then we decreased to a big bearish shooting star candle. Again, this is what we wait for. We wait for setups like these. We wait for something to happen on the volume. We wait for a candlestick to form or a pattern to form so that we can take a trade based on what we think the best outcome will be. So in this case, again, bearish shooting star candle. That's the candle. That's one tool, and then you go down, and you look at your volume. Wow, major sellers, more than the last previous, almost just as much as the time that we pumped. And if you compare it again, it's even more than this one. So made a decent amount of sellers, a good amount of sellers, a good amount. Okay, then after that bearish shooting star candle, yeah, a little bit of a buyer, not that much volume, it's kind of weak. Boom, fat bearish candle. Volume isn't that crazy, but still, we get a nice rejection off of that bearish shooting star candle, and then ultimately we go back down. Then we start seeing, the volume is just decreasing again, but ultimately, after that big fat seller shooting star candle, it's showing that, like, look, we're going down. The reversal did happen. The potential reversal, it did happen. Just like this one right here, the potential reversal, it did happen. This one did happen. So, in fact, this one happened. You can see that this volume, it's just not really doing nothing too crazy, but overall, we ended up being in a downtrend. Okay, so let's skip on to the next day, and you can see that during the after hours / pre-market, and what do I mean by that? This is after hours, this is after the market is closed, and this is pre-market, so this is before the market opens. So during the after hours and pre-markets, we create, which I actually already had this level charted out, but we bounce off our support. We don't go below this. Yes, there's a wick, but buyers bought us up. Same thing right here. Yes, there's a wick, but buyers brought us back up, showing that, like, buyers are here. So during the after hours and pre-market, I'm noticing that, like, okay, support is being respected. We're holding it. Right at market open, major buyer volume. Major. Long wick to downside, indicating that buyers brought us up, and they don't want to have sellers try to sell us. No, they want to take it up. So they took it up, and you can see that it's representing on the volume. It's almost 10 million shares bought, just like the first 15 minutes. I mean, the first 5 minutes over here, same thing. It's almost like 10 million shares sold. But in this case, again, fat seller candle, volume kind of there. But then look at the volume again. Boom, big buyer candle. Volume isn't really there. If anything, it increases a tad bit. Look at the seller. Small seller, even smaller than the last one. Although it's a big sell-off. Again, ultimately, buyers bring us up and kind of increase it a tad bit. Fat selling volume. I mean, a decent seller volume with a shooting star candle, potential reversal back to the downside. But again, buyers out of nowhere, even though they're kind of weak, start to increase it just a tad bit, just to ramp us up for the next 3 candles. And then ultimately, again, the sellers practically kind of small. Then you get a hammer. I mean, if you just understand candles and add these to your volume, you'll get a really clear picture of what's going on. Where's the price action going? So yes, you get a hammer candle right here. Decent amount of buyers, more than the last sellers. And overall, I mean, it's just showing that, like, buyers are trying to really ramp us up. Sellers are decently here. You can see a hammer. But again, what does this candle represent? Sellers try to sell us off. Buyers bought us up. Decent amount of sellers, but really not that many. And ultimately, again, buyers increase it just a tad bit, So that's just how you read volume and add it to your candlesticks. All day this trend was just uptrending. All day. And if you read candles, if you read volume, you can add it and understand it and break it down with your candlesticks. So it just adds an extra layer of help. So this was actually a trade I took. Now that I'm looking at it, I prefer not to show you guys, but I'm going to show you guys. It's a really ugly trade, and I'm going to show you guys this trade because I stayed into it because I understood volume and because I understand candlesticks. So I was able to actually be assisted, I guess, by my knowledge because I took the time out of my day to go pay for my education and grind super hard and watch videos all day, every day, the same one 10 times. And also implement it in my own trading strategy to understand what I do. So let's get into it. So 15-minute candle time frame. This is the day of the trade, and the moment I hopped in on this candle right here. On this candle right here, and I actually stayed into it. And I'll tell you why. I did actually collect profits a little bit, and I still stayed into them because I understood what was going on. So first 5 minutes, decent amount of buyers, just like every time. I mean, it's kind of just significant. It's for every first 5-10 minutes. It's always a lot of volume. Fat volume bar, decent. It's pretty decent, showing a lot of buyers are here. Then I hop in on this. I hopped in because it broke with a decent amount of volume again. There was so much volume. I was like, let me hop in. So I hopped in right on this break, and I collected right up here. I remember not all the way up. I think I took some just a tad bit down here. But either way, I just remember collecting. And if you want proof, go on my Discord, type it on this specific day, and yes, you'll see that I've collected profits. And I took a screenshot of this, and I post everything I do. So if you think I'm lying, or if any trade I ever go over, just go on my Discord, type it on this day, or type it in whatever it is. And I mean, I can always confirm for you guys too. I do take these trades. But anyways, I'm not here to confirm or deny. Here to tell you guys what happened. So I hopped in, collected some quick profits, still had a couple extra contracts, and I held them because this candle right here was indicating that buyers really did want to hold us above. The reason why I say buyers wanted to hold us above is because this candle is representing that buyers are really strong. Sellers did sell us off. It was a really big red candle at one point, but then buyers brought it back all the way up and closed it above here. Buyer volume really isn't that much, but I was like, they're really strong here. I'm curious on how strong they really could be. So again, next candle kind of threw me off. Sellers were here. Volume wasn't that crazy, but still scaring me. Obviously, I was pretty rattled. I think I was actually back to break even or even negative, down like 3%, and I was just watching. Next thing you know, next 5 minutes, I was really rattled off this one, but I was really happy as soon as it closed. And the reason why I say I was really happy after it closed is because this is indicating that buyers are super here and they really want to take us up. Not only that, look at the buyer volume. It's more greater than the one before that and even the one before that. Not as great as the first two, but still indicating that buyers are practically here. So ultimately, I hold it. Nice, decent bullish engulfing, not really too crazy on the volume, but still I hold it just because I'm understanding that sellers are not really here. The candlesticks are more in my favor, and we're holding this trend. Major buyer volume right on this candle, and this is where I'm like, hell yes, this is the one. This is where we're breaking. And we did actually. After this candle, it's showing, this candlestick specifically is showing it's kind of neutral. It's not too strong. If you pull up the who's in control chart, it honestly really was not too crazy. So this candle right here was probably this one right here. It was kind of more of a neutral indecision, not really too strong, but still the volume was there. The volume is what showed me that, like, okay, we're just as great as the previous first 2 minutes, first two volume bars. So this is gonna break, and ultimately, yes, we broke. We broke pretty nice. You can see right here on this, boom, nice break. Which actually now I'm clicking in my head that, okay, that one wasn't even that one, or that volume wasn't even that bar. But either way though, you can see that the price action is in the favor. The buyers are here. The buyers are getting increased. You can see that these two volume bars, it's not as crazy big as these ones, but the candlesticks are showing me that, like, the strength in buyers are here. That one ultimately tried to bring us up to the same highs as these, but then the next bar was what really took us up. And I just remember selling out right here because I was like, I'm taking it. Although I could have, should have, would have, whatever held, but I, ultimately, again, create another pattern. Same thing. Volume really isn't that crazy for the breakout, which somehow we end up actually going crazy and going pretty high up all the way to 456 when the buyer volume wasn't too crazy, in my opinion. Now, I bet if I switched on to something that can actually, oh, yep, there we go. So like, I actually did. So look at this. So now we're actually breaking down the buyers and sellers. Look at the sellers. Really wasn't that many sellers. Buyers were really here. But anyways, let's look at this candle. The same amount of buyers on this candle after the breakout. So that's why it's indicating, even though on the last picture it looks like a lot of sellers, that's why I'm glad I have this tool, because this tool helps me specifically break down how many sellers and buyers are here. So anyways, guys, I don't want to talk you guys' ear off or sound too monotone or boring, but yeah, so that's how you can understand. If you pull up your candlestick charts, you can understand and read how strong they are. This one was an indecision candle. Decent amount of buyers, just like that last one, which would help you determine if you want to hold it or not. And ultimately, you get a bullish engulfing with a decent amount of buyers. Really nothing too crazy, but yeah. So That is just how you can understand that side of the volume. But now let's get into the really main important stuff, which is the last few examples to really look out for, guys, and it's how to spot fake outs. So first we're going to go over how to spot fake outs, to pattern breakouts, and then the most important thing in my opinion, which is to compare the volume to the price level. So sorry guys, I know it's already 45 minutes in, 40 minutes in, but guys, it's super important. Let's get right into it. So how to spot fake outs. So first, we're looking at spot. Let's get into it. I'm not even going to talk you guys' ear off. 5 minutes, we're looking at a pattern. Connect the higher wicks to the other wicks, and you'll get this pattern formed. You'll get a pattern formed. It's a downtrend, whatever. It's downtrending, whatever. All right. So on this specific candle, this is the false breakout. You can see, why am I calling it a false breakout? I mean, look at this wick. This wick is indicating that, yeah, we tried. We're above the trend. What do I mean by above the trend? If you haven't watched my trend video, go watch it. But we're above this trend line, trying to do a quote-unquote fake breakout. But look at the volume bar, guys. The volume bar is so low. I mean, oh my Lord. It was obviously going to be fake. No type of volume there. Super low. But if you were to hop in and you were thinking that we were going to get into some calls to the upside, you probably either got scared or rattled, or hopefully you held just long enough to get to the true breakout, which was this one right here. Now, it's not too crazy. It's not like, oh my gosh, there's so much buyer volume here. But it's definitely way more than the previous two. Buyer volume, you can see that it's way more than the previous two sellers. So we do get that breakout on trend. Ultimately, we go up. You can see that the buyers are holding its same level. You can see what I mean by that. Look at this. You can see it's holding its same level. And then we get a nice buyer volume. A nice indication that buyers are here. They're here. Hey, sellers, we're here. So you can see that the next two, you can see that these two bars right here. Sorry, that was really ugly. I don't know what I was trying to do there. But after that nice volume breakout, you can see that these next two seller bars or volume or candlesticks are really not that significant. And then again, we get a nice continuation back to the upside. Volume starts to increase just a little bit. And then ultimately it goes back to the sellers. And just ultimately sells back off all day. You can see that the seller or the buyers are decreasing on these two candles. And then look at sellers are just ramping it up. Guys, sellers are super here on this candle. No buyers whatsoever, even though you get a nice big. Look at this, guys. This is really important. But let me clear everything and really show you guys that one. You get a nice bullish engulfing, breaking bigger than that candle. Oh my, wow. But then look at this. Volume is not even there. This is what I mean by spotting fake outs. That's fake. Don't hop in. Don't be tricked by that. That is a fake. So ultimately we go back down, major sellers, yada, yada, yada. And that's just how you spot that. So how to spot a pattern breakout? There's many ways, guys. So first you spot your pattern, connect your wicks. If you haven't watched my pattern video, watch it. It will teach you how to connect them and how to understand and how to also, in my opinion, from my experience, connect the best patterns. Because in my experience, connecting the wicks is how you do it. A lot of people I see, they be doing some weird stuff, like they be like grabbing it from the corner, doing it like that. It's all, I'm like, man, what are you doing? Grab the wicks, connect the wicks, you get your breakout. That's how you do it, guys. That's real simple. It's real simple. You don't need to go too crazy. Start asking yourself a million questions. It look good like this, look good like that. No. Grab them wicks, connect the wicks. You'll see that it connects somehow all the way over here. It does the job, guys. Trust. Anyways, that's my little rant on patterns. On trends and patterns. Go watch that video. But we get some patterns forming. But this is the breakout, guys. This is how you spot the fake breakout. Oh my Lord, look at that volume. That is just juicy. That is just showing you that, ooh, buyers are here. Guys, if you see something like this, you take it. Even if it ran. Reason why I say even if it ran is because look at the buyer volume. Oh my Lord, that shit is big, boy. Pause. 400,000 shares bought at that specific time. So many shares have been bought. We just ultimately ramp it up like crazy. And then, same thing over here. Look at the breakout. This one doesn't have too much crazy volume, but either way, the volume was there. Get a little bit of breakout. The reason why, look at this, it's weak volume. It's not too crazy, but it's still there. Ultimately, sellers try to sell us off. Buyers are kind of showing that they're not too strong here, but it's a little bit. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Look at the candlesticks. A lot of sellers. Look at the volume, decent. Look at the buyers decently trying to their best to hold it up. Not really as strong. It's really weak. Although it's still above this trend, it's pretty weak. But then you get a nice buyer volume. Buyer bigger than that breakout one, and it's even bigger than all the other previous ones. And on top of that, it completely eats up this whole group right here. So that's kind of what you would want to wait for if you want to wait for a retest. Or in my opinion, I mean, I get in on the breakouts. I do. I get in on a breakout. I love collecting my 10-15% bangers. And then maybe I'll even retest and be like, oh, wow, they really do want to take us up. Let's go back in and collect again. So I would collect twice. Real easy. Easy dubs, guys. It's really not hard to do this shit. So let's get into another volume or pattern breakout. Or actually, no. So we just covered pattern breakouts. We still got actually one more pattern breakout to break out. So head and shoulders, guys. You see the head and shoulders. You see it. You got the shoulder right. This is why they call it head and shoulders. You got the head right up here, and you got the shoulders at the level. Head, shoulders. Supposed to be like a human, I guess. Whatever. I don't see it. I don't know where they got that from. But anyways, you got your head and shoulders forming. But then, guys, you can see right here at the support, quote unquote support, whatever. Once you see this pattern forming, look how many buyers are there. Oh my, buyers really try to ramp us up, and they did. They didn't try. They did. They ramped this up, turned this into a hammer candle too, and then boom, buyers bought this up all the way back up and created a shoulder. So you got your head. Doesn't really matter your shoulder, but they're always going to be kind of not perfect because the market is never perfect. Don't try to wait for a perfect look. It's not going to happen. But anyways, got your head and shoulders forming. Got your zones made, whatever. Guys, look at around the area that you would be potentially taking your puts at. You can see that the buyer volume is so weak. There are no goddamn buyers. Just like this goddamn candle right here, where there has so many buyers, there is no goddamn buyers right here. There's none. Why would I think that buyers are about to... Why would I think... Now, this is a question that you got to ask. Why would I think buyers are going to take this up? Even if there was so much buyers right at this candle, well, now there's none here. They're gone. They don't want to do it again. And so that's just how you understand when you compare the volume or just look at volume. So, and then ultimately sellers are stepping in. You can see on these two candle bars for the seller side that they're great. They're here. They're showing. They are not afraid. And then you get that fat breakout. Decent volume, not really too crazy, but they ultimately do increase. The seller volume does increase. You can see on the head and shoulders that that's where you do want to enter right on the breakout. And look at the seller volume. It's way bigger than until about like 9:45 a.m. So of course that's how you would take your trades is wait for a nice volume breakout or just a breakout in general. It depends on how risky you are. Are you taking a risk off of the candle break, or are you going to take it when you see it break the candles or the support and you see the volume going in? So yeah, so I mean, sellers are really there. They're showing it. Boom, they took it there. Last pattern breakout. Bearish wedge, bearish whatever. I don't even know no more. Bearish flag. Look it up on my pattern. Look it up on Google. Just type in Google bearish patterns. Pop it up. This will pop up. But anyways, see you got a bearish wedge forming. I'm gonna call it bearish flag. I like the flag better. But you see you got your bearish flag forming. And ultimately, guys, same thing. Go look at your buy. You go look at your buyer volume. It's small. They're here. But the sellers is what's really... You can see that there was two seller volumes that was pretty high. Okay, sellers are increasing right here a tad bit. Same with buyers, but ultimately, buyers are really not there. I mean, look at the seller volume. Look at the volumes ramping up. You can see on this candle right here, which just happens to be the... Oh, shit. This candle right here happens to be the same candle that's right before the breakout. Right before the breakout. And then right before the breakout, you can see that there is major sellers coming in, indecisive candle if you want to call it that, but ultimately it's showing that there is so much volume here ready to take on to the momentum back to the downside. So, and then the next candle shows that the buyer or the seller volume increased like crazy, and yes, we got that breakout. Now if we were to hop in, you can see that the buyers are increasing a tad bit, but ultimately the sellers won, and it's kind of a small sell-off. You can see the buyers ramp it up like crazy, like right away. So that was a little bit of a risky one. You can see the buyers ramping up again, going in and bringing this up. So that's just how you wait for these pattern breakouts if you were to take a pattern breakout. So now let's go to comparing volume / price action, guys. I'm sorry this video is so long, but it's really important. It's going to help you advance you further into your trades and wait for your best setup. So let's get right into comparing volume and price levels. So this is super important. It's probably the next important thing, and this is the last thing, guys. So bear with me. This is the last important video that I recommend. So comparing volume with the price level. What do I mean by that? So when you see that at one point we have a wick and we hit a certain level, again, we hit that same level. At this point, it would be called a double top. But this is where it gets important. This is where it gets really important, because this is considered a double top. But if you compare the volume with the last time we were here at this level, it's greater. There's more buyers here than the last time we was here. There's way more buyers. So it's just indicating that there actually is a nice potential that we are going to increase instead of reject. Now, if there was more sellers or if their volume bar was really decreased than the last one, then I wouldn't think they would actually continue on up. And then strong buyer volume. Super strong buyer volume. Weak sellers, and then again, strong buying volume, which is what takes us up to the next level. So if we were to hop in on this specific area or this area where you think that's going to break out, look, guys, I like to take these trades. When I see a potential breakout of the most recent high, I would call this a recent high, I take these trades. I look at the volume and I'm seeing, okay, are we going to continue on up or is this going to be a rejection? But in this case, the buyer volume was here and we increased. So let's get right into it. Same thing. When you compare the price level that we hit, and what do I mean by price level? It's the level that we hit. So we hit around 457 at this time. So the next time that we was at 457, you can see that the buyer volume is super weak. It's really not there no more. And I wish I would have had an arrow to it, but you can see that this buyer volume was this one right here, and this buyer volume was this one right here. It's super weak. It's really not there. So that's what brings us down. Is because the buyer volume is just not there no more. Same thing with this one right here. This one's even a better example. Sorry, that one didn't have too good of examples, but you can see that last time we hit this 38.2% support level. Look at the volume. Peep the volume. That's how much volume we had. All right. So we hit this level, do a nice bounce on support. Yeah, we're getting some support here. No breaks, no candle closes under, and then we ultimately bounce. Then the next time we're here, look at this. You can compare the volume to the last time we were here. Last time we were here, there is so much sellers. Yes, buyers did try to bring us up, but there's more volume. So that's just something that to pay attention to at the time. So at this moment, I would be engaged and I'd be like, oh, okay, what's going to happen next? Buyer volume is really weak. Last time we had that much buyer volume, we actually bounced. But this time, the buyer volume is so weak. I'm less confident that we're going to bounce because the buyers are just not here like last time. Boom. You get a break. You get a break right underneath this level. And let's say you can see that the seller volume is major. It's actually increasing at that point on the next two. It increased. And then boom, you come all the way down to your support. Small bounce. Really not that much. But again, it's just like that last time. You compare it to the last volume. It's really weak. It's not strong enough to take us up. So it's just showing that like sellers are ultimately here. Buyers nowhere to be found. So that's just how you compare. Same thing with this one, guys. Look at this. Hammer candle. decent amount of volume. We get a support bounce. Then last time we come over here, look at this. Guys, look at this. Look at the volume. The volume is what's super important to pay attention to. Really not, there is way more volume here than the last time. So this should actually be flipped around. It should be like this. Because there's way more volume here than the last previous, indicating that sellers are super here. Don't get me wrong though. A lot of volume for buyers, but the buyers really didn't do much. They didn't do it like last time. Major sellers incoming, fat buyer volume, don't get me wrong. Super fat. But it doesn't really take us up anywhere. You can see who's in control. It's really not, they're not that much in control. Buyer volume is there, but for some reason we're just not bouncing. And then back to the sellers. Sellers ultimately win, take us on down. Sellers increase, and yeah, they win. They bring us on down. They downtrend us for the rest of the day. So that's just something super important to pay attention to, guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Guys, if you're literally not in my Discord, join it, guys. Look at this banger ass trade that we took. 965% on SPY right here. It's a put that I took super cheap. Got it in at $39. Sold it at $414. It was super fun, super nice. 3 hours later. And so if you guys are not already in, join it in. Learn about how you can learn about option trading. That's what this Discord is made for. That's what this YouTube channel is made for. That's what I'm made for. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time.